Spokane's homeless population is at an all-time high. Yesterday, we brought you a one-on-one interview with new Mayor Lisa Brown. She said tackling the homeless crisis is her top priority. She also said working with City Council will be key. So I also sat down with newly elected Council President Betsy Wilkerson to hear how those two plan to work together for new solutions to Spokane homelessness. It has been the message for years.
The problem is getting so much worse.
It is really bad. It's really scary.
We're being told that we have to be out by next week.
We don't know what the plan is.
I just can't imagine being somebody thinking about moving into Spokane and seeing that nightmare.
But incoming Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown says a lot of what the city has been doing to tackle homelessness simply isn't working.
Fundamentally, moving an unhoused person from a place that isn't good for them and isn't good for the neighborhood doesn't solve the problem.
She's been on the job less than 2 months now and has big ideas for her first 100 days in office.
I think ultimately we all want to see more actual, what we call transitional housing, and we've got to build more of those housing units in order to make this work.
What is the city's role in that?
So the city can't do it all, but the city, I think, needs to be a convener and a coordinator. I think it's more on the side of what can we do to incentivize and streamline the process for the private sector and for nonprofits to build more or to convert existing facilities. But I also see my role personally as the mayor advocating for more funding.
Mayor Brown now wants a dedicated strategy within city departments to work together and focus on finding grants and other outside money to pay for homeless solutions in Spokane. Do you think that there is county, state, federal funding that hasn't been utilized before or yet that we could be taking advantage of?
Oh, certainly there is. It's not easy to understand that, but we want to make sure that there are people dedicated to that within the city, helping to leverage city funds for grants.
How quickly do you think that people just around town who are looking outside and thinking, man, the homeless crisis is just getting worse and worse and worse, how quickly do you think that they might be able to see some noticeable differences?
I am hopeful that this time next year, we are more prepared for the cold weather when it comes, and that we have figured out some transitional places for people to be not outside, not on the street, not in a camp, in a transitional housing environment, and headed on their way to stability.
Goals she shares with newly elected City Council President Betsy Wilkerson. Also something that hasn't always been the case between those two positions. Some people in the past had criticized either the mayor's office or City Council for not working better together. Do you see that changing?
Absolutely. We understand we're going to either sink or swim in this together. So the leadership and the collaboration on the funding piece is what make the difference. We all want Spokane to be better, and the mayor and I have some very aligned ideas going forward. I think under the previous administration, we wanted the same thing. We just had different ideas of how to get there.
And where the previous administration looked to Houston, Texas as an example to follow, Spokane's new top 2 elected leaders say they will be seeking guidance in other places too.
And the Houston model is housing first, but you got to have that mental health, and mental health is just struggling.
It's also a question of a workforce. Many of the people that would be in that workforce have moved into private sector counseling, and so we want to work with our local community colleges and university and education institutions to build up more of a workforce for that. Denver's done well in the creating a lot of housing quickly. We're very interested in meeting with Boise. They are known to have a very good data system, what we would call a coordinated entry system. So we're looking at some of these mountain west cities that have similar challenges and how we can learn from each other.
But none of the solutions will happen quickly, and to that, Mayor Brown and Council President Wilkerson say, give them time.
I believe that they should not give up on downtown Spokane.
We're not there yet. It's a journey.
If we work together, I think we can see improvements